Hello, everybody, and welcome to Web and Beyond Live for February 22nd, 2021. I'm Ray Sidney Smith, President of W3 Consulting and Managing Director of W3C Web Services, which provides affordable web and WordPress hosting, domain name registration, and other web-related services to small business. Web and Beyond Live is my chance to come to you each week and talk about topical and timely issues relating to digital marketing and productivity technologies for small business. All the things I believe you need to be a success marketing and managing on the web, social, mobile, and beyond today as a small business owner. And so feel free to ask questions in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer them while we're live. If you're watching the replay or listening after the fact via the podcast, leave a question in the comments or leave a comment on the page, and I'll be happy to do my best to answer you with those. Today's agenda is that each month I like to come to you and do a social media updates for small business. And so we're going to do our February 2021 edition. We haven't done this in a few months, and so I thought I'd come and do this. We've had other things going on, so I'm going to this month do our social media updates. And so we have a lot to cover in the world of social media. So let's get started. And so let's start off with just a couple of reports that I have been noting, some studies that I've come across, and I thought would be interesting to kind of cover for what they stand for, why they are on my radar. And the first one actually is this one, which is an interesting, let's see, why is this not working? Always with the tech stuff. Okay, so this first one is a global social network marketing market report for 2025. And the only thing I noted here was that this global market report basically lists the key market players for global social networks. And it listed them in this order as Facebook, Instagram, Google, surprisingly, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, and then Tumblr. And I think it's just really important for us to all remember that while we get a lot of hype and play about the entire spectrum of competitors in the social network space, Google still commands a third place in this because, remember, they own YouTube, and that's the largest video search engine in the world and the largest video social network in the world. And then Facebook, of course, owns Instagram, so Facebook and Instagram, along with WhatsApp, they command a presence. But the reality is that Google itself has baked a lot of these social components into their ecosystem. So while Google doesn't own, quote unquote, a social network, you are social networking when you're sharing in Google Photos. You're social networking when you are in a Google Meet with other folks. You're in social networking when you are commenting on a blogger post. These things are happening in kind of confluence with the features of what we're already existing and using on an everyday basis. So it's just really interesting. Facebook and Instagram, of course, are going to continue to contend in this market. Then, of course, Google, LinkedIn, and Twitter are powerful, and we'll talk a little bit about Twitter's power as we make our way forward. And of course, we note here Pinterest and then Tumblr. And most people don't even consider Tumblr in the ecosystem, and I just have to frequently remind people, Tumblr is owned by Automatic, the same company that helps produce the WordPress.org, the WordPress open source software that we host at W3C Web Services, but WordPress is an open source software. Tumblr is owned by Automatic, and they have a good home there. And it's a fantastic social network and a vibrant community. So we need to not forget that when we're out there looking for where our community might be, when we're doing that, what I call listening. We're going out there and searching to do some active engagement with our audience, not on our own blog or podcast or otherwise. Next up, there was a study that came out that was showing that Instagram Reels is better for brands while TikTok is better for influencers. And what they mean by that is that the number of the amount of engagement that people got on Instagram Reels was actually better for brands than they were for TikTok influencers, and vice versa. So influencers were capable of getting more engagement and more views on these platforms like TikTok than they were for Instagram with Reels. Now, I tend to read these with a grain of salt. The reality is that if your audience is on Instagram and you're on Instagram, as a brand, you're going to do well according to this. But if you're a brand and you're active on TikTok and that's where your audience is, then you're going to do well. The reality is that you can't pick platforms based on these abstractions of data. Most people do X or most businesses do Y. What you really need to do is pay very close attention to that listening process. And that is, go out there and listen to your audience. Where are they active? Where are they sharing? Where are they engaging? And then engage in that capacity, and don't worry about the rest. These studies are useful for us to understand some of the larger trends in the market, but beyond that, they end up being more chaff than wheat. Okay, next up is moving into the Facebook and Instagram world. Instagram is, in essence, planning, this is just a quick update, they're planning to do multi-participant live streams later this month. So later in February, that is, they will start the process of bringing out the concept of having multiple people in live streams. This is great. Right now, you've been able to bring one guest, I believe it is, into your Instagram live stream and be able to do that. In an interview with Lily Singh, Instagram chief Adam Mosseri basically talked about the fact that the company's plan is to bring multi-participant Instagram live video chats soon. So interesting. It'll be good for people to be able to bring multiple people up on screen, and that means more engagement in that way. I've not stepped into the Instagram live market purely because here I am, I'm going live each week, and I'm capable of doing that from one tool and streaming out to Periscope, which is Twitter Live now, to Facebook Live and to YouTube Live all simultaneously. I'm not capable of doing that without using a different device and streaming to Instagram Live. And that by virtue of the number of mistakes one can make in going live, I just haven't done it yet, and I probably won't until I'm capable of doing it all through one tool. We'll see. But the reality is that this is interesting for those who are on Instagram and really want to make an impact there. This can be a great vehicle, especially if you have multiple people who are in your business who want to go live together, or if you want to bring multiple guests on to an Instagram live. This could be really interesting as a future piece. Okay, next up, this is a word of warning. So this is some article that showed up online, and it continues to keep kind of bothering me that people are seeing this kind of content. So here we are, this website here is talking about getting real Instagram followers and likes via an app. Now, if you go to the App Store and you type in, get real Instagram followers or get free Facebook followers or those kinds of things, you're going to find a whole host of applications that all look very Facebook or Instagram-y, right? They look similar to those applications. You can say that for each of these social networks. This is all bunk. This is all rubbish. Do not trust these applications that are basically trying to get you to give up your information and log into your system with your credentials into their system, right? You're giving up your information into their system. Do not do it. And this is a PSA. Just do not log in with your credentials into these faux applications that are promising to give you more followers. What they're really doing is stealing your credentials and then siphoning off data. You might gain more followers, but you're really not going to. Now, there are paid applications that go ahead and do have the capability for you to go ahead and increase your followers, but that's a whole different ballgame, and so don't get kind of caught up in that mess. Next up is a bit of news around the Facebook news ban in Australia. If you haven't been aware, in essence, Australia's government has been putting together a new law that basically would force Google and Facebook to pay publishers, news publishers, for content that Facebook and Google displays within their news sections and within their feeds. So in Google's case, Google News, in Facebook's case, Facebook's news, basically Facebook's feed. Now, I have a particular opinion about this, and you may not agree with me, but I believe that Facebook has every right to ban the news in Australia's Facebook if Facebook is required to pay news organizations for propagating that news on their platform. It would be akin to me as a web host, choosing to remove someone as a customer on our platform because they were, doing something wrong against our terms of service. Facebook has equally that right. Think of it as its own country. They have sovereignty over their platform to be able to do that stuff. And so if you don't believe that Amazon could kick Parler off their platform for being an extremist, allowing extremist language on their system, then you can't not also, if you agree with that, then you can't also believe that Facebook can't ban news on their platform. How does Facebook not own their platform, but Amazon does? All right, there's kind of an incongruity there in terms of the way in which we think about it. So this article is really interesting and useful in the sense that, the fact of the matter is that Facebook's news ban is somewhat draconian, right? It's cutting off, firefighters putting out news about, that information, and it's having a COVID-19 vaccine, the information about the vaccine. Obviously, it's cutting off many people from being able to access proper information about that. But the reality is that at the end of the day, there are very big media corporations, headed by whomever, that are trying to but they're encouraging the Australian government to be able to make this happen. And I think there's just more than meets the eye here when we think about, Facebook is banning this news, and of course the Australians are going to look at Facebook badly about this. But I think that we around the planet need to think about this from a little bit more holistic of a perspective, which is that France and Spain have already done this with Google. Now Google has made a concession with the Australian government to pay some small amount for some types of news to the various organizations like News Corp and otherwise. And Facebook has chosen not to do that. And again, I think at the end of the day, this is all going to get resolved, and Facebook will bring news back in some way, shape, or form. But this is I think it's wrong that governments are coming out and not understanding the media business. Those media organizations are making money by virtue of getting their content in front of people. And if they can't figure out how to monetize that content, just as I as a business owner if I was not able to monetize my work, then that's my responsibility. It is not the kind of responsibility of governments around the world to start slicing and dicing up who can and can't show content on the internet. That is up to individuals to choose where they access that information. And so again, that's all really opinion on my part. I think it's well-founded, but I think it also bodes poorly for small businesses if governments are forcing Facebook to then remove things and add things that Facebook should be forced to do by market desire, not by Australia or, Germany or any other country choosing to make those things. Again, I think this is going to be an interesting thing to watch and see how it all plays out. I don't think this is the end of it. Even as Australia comes to finalize their law, we have other countries who are looking at now how to go about this. France is going to probably come back and try to do something in this case. We're going to see other countries start to make inroads here. I just think it's going to be incredibly difficult for all of us if we're not all capable of playing by the same rules. And so I just don't like the idea of one country going ahead and making this movement without there being kind of a coordinated understanding of all of this, which is that media publishers, large, conglomerates of media, they have the ability to change their business model, and advertising is not working for them. Now we have this new era where, in essence, large web platforms have gained the advertising stronghold, and large media publishers don't like that, and so they're putting pressure on governments to make that change. And I think that's wrong. I just think it's the wrong way to go about it. We should have a thoughtful discussion about how we can make all of these businesses do well. It's not like they're not doing something valuable for us, but maybe news organizations need to be funded in a different way. And that means that it's not corporate greed that promulgates good news, but perhaps it's paid by governments so that we have good information and not disinformation and misinformation being propagated across the world. All right, I will get off my soapbox now and move on to more interesting news. So this is really interesting for small businesses, which is that Shopify is now expanding its what we call Shop Pay program. So it allows you to be able to buy within various streams, and they have expanded that now to Facebook and Instagram shops. So now you will be able to see posts on different platforms and click on those and then immediately go through the purchase process, which is just really powerful. And so this allows for mobile payment directly from or semi-directly from social networks. And this is going to increase the social commerce component that really for many years was not possible, and is why I discourage most businesses from even focusing on social commerce altogether. Now that we are seeing more and more of this with Amazon and Stripe, as well as Shopify and others, really gaining greater traction and being able to help us. Google Pay is another, Google Pay, Android Pay became Google Pay and otherwise, giving us capabilities of being able to purchase directly from social networks, I think is going to be very powerful going forward. And this does not replace having your own e-commerce. Remember, this is all about organic search engine growth, having the ability to command your own real estate online and your own experience around things. But there's no reason why you shouldn't leave money on the table when there are people who want to buy your products and services from where they're interacting and engaging with you, which more and more today is going to be on your social network of choice. Okay, next up, in continuing on in kind of the Facebook space, since Facebook owns WhatsApp, you will note that a few weeks ago WhatsApp had a bit of a kerfuffle because they changed their terms of service in this process of allowing some of the metadata, not the actual messages, but some of the metadata around which your conversations happen in WhatsApp will be shared with Facebook so that they are able to synchronize some of the content that is happening between WhatsApp and Facebook and Instagram. In essence, what Facebook wants to do is as I understand it, they want to bring together the conversations that are happening on those three platforms: Facebook, Facebook Messenger, and on Instagram, and then WhatsApp. So Facebook with Facebook Messenger, Instagram direct messages, and WhatsApp messages. They want to bring those pieces together. And in order to do that, they need to change their terms of service and, of course, start to thread the needle between who's having conversations with whom so that they're able to actually connect those conversations. Well, that is, of course, causing a lot of people to be upset and leave WhatsApp. But I think at the end of the day, it's not about actually taking the conversations content and somehow giving Facebook access to that. It's just the metadata around it, who's having that conversation, and so on and so forth. So we'll see how this works out for them. I think ultimately they're going to do it, whether we all like it or not, they're going to do it. So does that mean more people will leave WhatsApp to go to Telegram and Signal and other platforms? Yes. But those who do decide to stay on Facebook Messenger and Instagram direct messages and WhatsApp will have a more seamless experience. Okay, next up is WhatsApp is testing out this application they're calling Super. And so if you don't know what Cameo is a program that allows you to have celebrities record messages. And so you can, say, have a voicemail message recorded for a friend for their birthday. And in essence, a celebrity, say Snoop Dogg or, other obscure celebrities as well, record a message, and then that can be shared with your friend, and it's customized. Hey Bill, so excited for your birthday. Have a great one. That kind of thing. And now Facebook seems to be testing something like it. From my experience, it doesn't seem as like it than some people are actually noting. So here goes Super itself. It's at super.events, and what it does is it has these live streams that are with various creators. And so they're not necessarily celebrities, but they could be celebrities in their own right. And right now, when you click on things and go to them, like this is a technology person, this is a YouTube stream. It's not a Facebook stream, right? This is a Facebook program that's being built on Super. And these are past events. When you go there, they do have a payment functionality. Right now, they're all free. But when you log in, not through Facebook, but just log in generally, you're able to log in and RSVP for upcoming live stream events in which you can either ask questions in kind of a general space or for free right now, but presumably there'll be a payment functionality turned on for you to be able to pay to have one-to-one chats with these creators. And so the idea is that we're creating a commercial component for the idea of connecting with creators. I think it's interesting. I think it has a space in the market, and we'll see what happens. But just know that Super.events is around. Super is the application, and we'll see what happens as Facebook continues to bring it online and further develop it. Okay, moving right along. This is just a quick note that Twitter is developing something called Blue Sky, which is supposed to be which could be one of the first decentralized social networks. It says could launch the first, but there are already decentralized social networks, what they call federated social networks that are out there like Mastodon and others. And so if you go to mastodon.social, there are networks that are like Twitter already that allow you to be able to use a non-centralized service like Twitter. So I think Twitter has a general mission that leans or tends toward that concept of having a decentralized social network. We'll see what happens, but the reality is that this is a long ways off. I think Blue Sky is interesting. I think that we would all be better served if we were able to have a federated social network where I could be on my own social network of choice, but still interact with people on others, right? So if I were posting on, say, Twitter, I would still be able to interact with content on Instagram or on Facebook or on Snapchat. I was just interacting and engaging with it in the space that I'm most comfortable, and it would automatically translate to the content on the other side for the people consuming on that level, right? So this would reduce the idea of us having to post in multiple places because the decentralization would automatically do that kind of translation. It would in essence propagate that content to whomever was viewing it in the way that they were viewing it by virtue of the fact that they were following us across the federated networks. So interesting. Still just a pie in the sky idea, and I just wanted to bring it up to let you know that this is potentially on the horizon. We'll potentially see this in the next few years launch, and we'll have to come to terms with how this affects us from a business marketing perspective. Now, this is the article that I wanted to talk about with regard to the power of Twitter, and I have no interest in talking about Bitcoin and any advice as it relates to Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency and purchasing or not purchasing any of those things. So set that topic aside completely. What I'm noting here is how powerful celebrity and influencer and media tweets are to the general ecosystem in terms of social media. The fact that Elon Musk has power over the price of Bitcoin via tweets shows the power of Twitter itself. And so every day people tell me, Facebook has more users and more children are on Snapchat and all kinds of other things. The reality is that while celebrities and influencers, as well as the media, interact and engage on Twitter, Twitter is the town square online today. And with that being the case, if that is the space of the commons where people have dialogue, it is important and imperative that you have some presence there because your local media, your local journalists, your local influencers, they are on Twitter, and you should be interacting and engaging on Twitter on that level so that you are capable of engaging in that dialogue and that conversation. There is power on Twitter that I think a lot of small businesses are leaving. It's money on the table. Those small businesses are leaving because they are not interacting and engaging on that platform. And it doesn't mean that you have to be constantly posting and those kinds of things if that's not your space where your audience is. But understand that you may have multiple different strategies for multiple different social networks, and Twitter is one of those cases where I think every business should have a Twitter profile, and they should be speaking so that the media and journalists are paying attention. Okay, this one is another little PSA. I'm on a PSA streak this week. This one, this CNET article talks about the social network Gab, which was an alternative social network, as they're calling it, but basically it's a social network for right-wing extremists and extremism generally. I don't care what political side of the party you're on. This is just really for political extremism, and so they went down briefly on Friday, and they're back up. My point being is that with Parler and Gab and a lot of these, unfortunately, right now, right-wing extremists, but this could happen on either side of the political spectrum. What I warn small businesses away from is getting involved or active on any of these extremist social networks. Stick to the mainstays, the ones that we talk about all the time, right? So Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Snapchat, even TikTok, and Pinterest and so on and so forth. Those are networks that are general use, and people are engaging in actively on them across a large swath of normative belief systems. That means you could have some people who are on either side of the political spectrum, but they are not getting extremist values piped to them, which means you're not going to get sucked into that kind of brand reputation problem, right? Because if you're active on those things, you're going to obviously get potentially harmed by virtue of being on them. And plus, they keep going down because networks won't host them, and other kinds of problems keep happening. There's no reason to get involved here. In this particular case, it was through a Bitcoin scam that Gab actually got taken down. You don't want to be involved in any of that. It's not worth your time and energy as a business owner to get politically wrapped up in these things. Okay, there are other local political issues you can get behind and use social networks as a soapbox. These are not them. These are not really worth it. Okay, this I thought was really interesting. Pinterest is growing. They added, I think, 120 million users in the last quarter, and Pinterest is, in essence, growing their audience in two different kind of perspectives. This article talks about how Pinterest has grown to more than 37% with their monthly active users, and of course they've gotten increased revenue over the last quarter. This is really great. I think a lot of social networks have benefited from the increase in their increase in the number of people who are using these social networks during the pandemic. But flip side to that is Snapchat. They had built their Spotlight feature, and so Spotlight is basically a TikTok competitor, and that feature set inside of Snapchat already has 100 million users. And again, this just goes to the fact that while TikTok has lost its problems in the federal government, at least in the U.S., attempting to ban them and force a sale of the TikTok U.S. part, India has still banned TikTok, and Snap is showing double-digit growth in their features that are basically TikToks. Instagram, with Instagram Reels, continues to go after TikTok, even to the effect that recently Instagram has purposefully said, if you share from TikTok to Instagram Reels, we're going to demote that content in the feed algorithmically. So TikToks from shared into Instagram are going to be seen less just by virtue of the fact that they're coming from TikTok. The major social networks don't like the competition, and they're going to obviously do their best to be able to kill this off. So, as we'll talk about near the end of our time together, YouTube has a TikTok version coming to their platform as well, and they're scaling that out in the U.S. soon. So, I'm just saying that TikTok seems like it's going to be around a while. It's a strong platform, but don't consider it anything near dominance in the future. I think it's going to stay in that kind of lower level space, and while it was cool and interesting to start with, you will see the ability to do this on larger platforms, and that equates to you just having less work to do because you can do them in the spaces where you're already active and comfortable. I did want to bring this up because LinkedIn has always had a platform for freelancers, and it was called LinkedIn Pro Finder. And so you, as a service business, can go onto LinkedIn and I believe sign up for Pro Finder and then find freelancers to do work. And as a business owner, you can also hire people. So if you need someone for public relations or for accounting or anything else like that, you can go in here and type in a search and you can find local people who can help you do that work. Well, it turns out that Microsoft is in the process of trying to compete with Upwork and Fiverr and other freelancer market platforms by building out a new service called marketplaces. And so I'm really curious about this because I'm not quite sure how this is going to replace ProFinder and the LinkedIn services. So if you're trying to find this LinkedIn services page, if you just go to linkedin.com/services, you'll be taken here. And of course, if you want to go and use ProFinder, you'll log in and then go through that process. But I'm just curious how Microsoft is going to do this, because obviously they have a lot of users, they have a lot of business owners on the platform on LinkedIn, and so with nearly with 750 million users on LinkedIn, they can really command a freelancer economy and really pull a lot of people away from Upwork and Fiverr if they execute well. So just so that it's on your radar that this is happening in the background, and I'm curious. We'll continue to pay attention to this and let you know as we find more out about it. But it's a really interesting concept that Microsoft is kind of stepping into the gig economy world. Okay, just a couple more items, and then we can close out. One is Snapchat recently put together a Snapchat generation report. This is a 60-something page report that covers some information about Gen Z and what they are as Snapchatters. And so they talk about how Snapchatters communicate without words, with photos, emojis, videos, and memes, how much they spend. It turns out that Snapchatters are spending roughly $4.4 trillion, and they do that by region as well. So North America is 1.9 trillion, all the way down to Asia Pacific, which has $708 million in spending power. They talk about all kinds of interesting things here. Either way, the report itself is downloadable, and it's downloadable per region. So at the bottom of the page here, you'll see that you can download the, let's see when it loads. There it is. So you can download the report itself, and you can download the regional reports. And so this is the report itself, and this is the main report. You can see its key findings are fairly generic, but also interesting in their own right. That is that the Snapchat generation, the Gen Zs, as they call them, harness their creativity, empathy, and digital tools to make an impact on causes and issues that they care about. They're all about brands telling their origin stories, their secrets to success, and aligning themselves with the generation's values, really. What social causes do they care about, and matching to those. So making sure that you're talking about eco-friendly and environmental causes. Gen Z cares about those issues by and large, and that speaks to them in terms of their buying power and your reputation. They know how to have some fun with their content, and then of course they have this need for connection, deep connection with the people in their world, friends and families, and so on and so forth. This is just good information. And again, this is a long report, so you can download it and check it out, but it's well worth doing so if you have an interest in engaging on Snapchat. Okay, last but not least is YouTube themselves are launching the Shorts concept on the platform, and that's, I just think, a really exciting feature. We've talked about YouTube Shorts in the past, and it was available by putting the hashtag shorts, so the number sign and then SHORTS in the title of your shorts videos that are in a TikTok format, right? So it's in portrait mode as opposed to landscape. And so this new short form video functionality is coming to the US in March, and so that means you'll be able to start utilizing it. And I think this is just going to be very, very powerful. And so start looking at shorts. You can check out the YouTube Shorts information that's out there. You can start looking for it by just searching YouTube for the hashtag shorts hashtag. So if you just type in hashtag shorts into the YouTube search, you'll be able to find other short videos. Look at what other people are doing with their shorts and start studying how that's gonna affect how you put out videos, and start thinking, if you do a longer form video, like here, this Web and Beyond Live, it's a longer form video. Potentially we could break this up into shorter videos and make those shorts. Is that useful or worthwhile to our audience, and that kind of thing, right? And we're going to have to match that up against using chapters, right? The time signatures in the videos so people can jump to different chapters. And of course, there's a search engine value to that, having the different chapters titled equals keywords for those things, which can be really helpful as well. Now, the other piece to this is that YouTube is talking about social commerce here, and they talk about the idea that they're working on different ways to, in essence, monetize the video experience. And look at that, my new phone, the Pixel 5. And so you can see here, it says we're beta testing a new integrated shopping experience that allows viewers to tap into the credibility and knowledge of trusted creators to make informed purchases directly on YouTube. This is super exciting because, again, like I said, social commerce wasn't really capable or possible in the past. It wasn't the context in which people were thinking about purchase intent, and now we're seeing more and more people, because they're interacting so much on social networks, that the social media itself becomes social commerce content as well. It's becoming connected to products and services, and YouTube is clearly paying attention to this. We see how Pinterest with shoppable pins has led to Instagram ads that allow for shoppable pins. Now we fast forward to almost every platform having the capability of you having access to this, with Amazon Pay, with Shop Pay, with Shopify having in-app payment capabilities on mobile. And we now see YouTube even thinking, okay, how can we bring this shopping experience, not just ads, but a shopping experience directly into the video experience? Amazon now has that with the Amazon Live platform, where you can watch video live on Amazon and purchase directly from the product carousel beneath the video creators' content. We are seeing a new era ushered in with regard to all of these pieces, and you need to start thinking about how you're going to actually command this level of new social commerce as these new tools come online. I'm learning, and I'm hopefully going to be sharing with you how these things are making their way forward as we make our way forward into this new technology, and so on and so forth. So with that, that is our social media updates for February 2021, and I'm going to try and get back into a better schedule of doing these updates, because there are a lot of them. I had to pick just the top tier of all of the various things that have happened in social networks and social media this month. So hopefully that's useful to you and beneficial to you in knowing what's going on there. So we've come to the end of our time together this week. If you've enjoyed the live stream, feel free to hit the thumbs up icon, and that helps us bring new small business friends into the fold. And so thank you for doing that. If you have a question, leave a comment. You can also tweet or message us at W3 Consulting on Twitter. And you can join us every Monday here at 11 a.m. Eastern for Web and Beyond Live. Actually live. Thanks so much for spending this Web and Beyond Live with me. I'm Ray Sidney Smith on behalf of W3 Consulting and W3C Web Services. Have a great week ahead, marketing and managing your small business on the Web and Beyond. Take care, everybody.